Okay. So um, so I think a lot of you have been asking about cryptocurrency uh, through your through your different relationship managers, and I think we wanted to cover what we think about, or what what we think about as the future, and if there are questions from your side or the client side, what is the right way to think about it, or the way we think is the right to think about it, right? So let's start. So best way to look forward into future and what is going to happen in the future is to go back and look at what has happened in history, right? So history teachers is the one of the best teachers. So let's first see the history, of currencies, cryptocurrencies, how they started, why do they exist, what have something like this happened before, what are the learning from history, and then from there we will try to see what can happen or what will happen in the future, right? So what people are saying, or have said in the past is, um, you know, I mean, there are people who really like what cryptocurrency is, or what cryptocurrency means to, according to them, means, and there are people on the currently completely other side of the spectrum, right? So Nissim Taleb, who is one of the most profound options, was one of the most profound options trader, and right now a very celebrated author, and you can search him on Google and YouTube what he is about. And he says there is no evidence, get there is no evidence that we are getting a great technology unless great technology doesn't mean useful. So that means, he's questioning the usefulness of this, right? I mean, Paul Krugman, who is the Nobel Prize winner in economics, he says Bitcoin and its relatives haven't managed to achieve any meaningful economic growth, right? And to start with, these guys have not always been right? I mean, they have been sometimes right, sometimes wrong, not right. Then we have Elon Musk. He thinks that Bitcoin is really on the verge of getting broad acceptance by conventional finance people. Ray Dalio is one of the most celebrated, or the one of the largest AUM managers in the US. He says, long duration. So he says in technical words, but long duration option on an unloan future, which I could put amount of money that I won't like. So he's saying basically it has a 80% chance of losing. If it is a 20% chance of making money, that is what the bet is, right? 4:1. So he's not saying it's correct, is not correct. That's his opinion. So none of these guys have been 100% right in their life, but this is their current or historically been their stance. So there have been billionaires in their 20s who have made money through cryptocurrencies. These two twins here are the guys who were started Facebook, and who got money from Mark Zuckerberg, if you remember the movie and the story, right? So some of these guys have made money in the past, uh, or have made a significant amount of money from cryptocurrency, right? It has its own memes, it has its own memes, or it has its own culture. The cryptocurrency, I mean, somebody tweets something and it just goes and makes a new high, or it goes down, right? So that's what has been happening. It has been in a bull run. The prices have gone up and then come down significantly as well, right? So this is what historically has been happening. um, there's tremendous rise in Google keyword search. If you look at it, it has substantially gone up 5x post COVID, July 2020 and May 2021. It has gone from about 10 tens of millions to hundreds of millions, right? So that's the rise of daily keyword search, right? So there is interest has developed. In India, there have been some players who have come in and trying to promote very according to us very aggressively cryptocurrencies, and they're trading on these apps. and saying that you will miss out on the opportunity, and this is a massive opportunity, and let's start doing. And this is after, in the last few months, right? There has been Zeppe. These guys were banned before. Wazirex, I mean, we'll discuss what is currently happening, etc. But guys, can you mute yourself? Some of you who are not.
Can you make me a co-host? I'll take care of it.
Okay. Then is something called CoinDX. Similar. I mean, they're very lucrative advertising being offered on the online portals, etc., to come and make you trade, right? So fine. So let's see how Bitcoin actually began, right? Bitcoin actually began. The history goes back to 2008, the Lehman brother crash. Some of you might be, not working back then. Some of you might be younger. Some of you might have seen what happened in 2008, 9, etc. AIG Lehman shock hit world markets, and Lehman brother crash. Basically, people lost faith in the financial system. All these Citibank, Bank of America, AIG, all the even they went to bailouts from the U.S. government. Essentially, the taxpayer in the U.S. basically took the hit and bailed these banks out, right? Right when this was happening, and just this was happening in October 2008, there was a paper published called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system, by a pseudonym called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody thinks that it's a real name. It's a pseudonym for somebody who actually brought this paper out and said, paper being published in computer generals, and then basis that essentially in basis that in 2009 a Bitcoin network was launched, right? Jan 2009. And from 14 cents in 2010, it went to $33,000 in 2011. Cryptocurrencies, there are 4. So that is the brief history of how Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, basically what led to the origination of cryptocurrency, right? Before that, there was nothing. And 2008 is a paper, and 2010 or 9 there was the first time a framework was put, architecture or an infrastructure was to be built. So this is 12-year-old. This is the origination. It's a 12-year-old thing, right? There are 4,000 plus cryptocurrencies. Compared to the official national currencies in the world are 160. 160 is the number of currency. There is 25 times that are the number of cryptocurrencies, right? The Bitcoin is not the only one. There is Ethereum, there is Ripple, there is Dogecoin, there is whatnot, right? I mean, on all kind of fancy names you can think of. They are there, right? Everybody says that our system is better. We deliver this, we deliver that, right? So this is it's just not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely the leader, but there is another 4,000 or 4,000 kind of cryptocurrencies out there, right? So having said that, now what we know that there is what led to the initiation of Bitcoins or cryptocurrency concept. We know that when it was kind of originated, we know that within 12 years there are 4,000 of these guys, right, out there. Whereas the national currencies over the human history, after final thousands of years of human history, there are 160 national currencies, and within 12 years you have 4,000 cryptocurrencies. So that's something to keep in mind. Just keep it at the back of your mind. But within 12 years, you have 4,000 cryptocurrency. With thousands of years of human history, you have 160 currencies currently, right? And you know that it was because people lost faith in the financial system, etc. back in 2008. That was a germination point of this concept, right? Let's let's take another let's step away from that and see how does a financial system work, right? What is a financial system? Why does it exist? What makes it work? Why do things work the way? So let's talk about asset class, right? What is an asset class? So it is a group of investment that behave similarly. So those 4,000 currencies that they're talking about, they behave similarly, right? I mean, they're traded on the exchange, they're digital, they bring different they have different nuances. For example, gold, you can trade it as an ETF, you can trade it physical, you can trade it you can buy it as a jewelry, you can buy bars. So they are different, but everything is it's gold based. You can buy in mutual fund, it's gold based. That's the asset class. And then there is products around it. You can make a coin out of it, whatever, right? Then so example, the same asset like gold, sovereign gold point, gold coins, right? In equity, you can do a PMS, you can do direct equity, direct stocks, or you can do equity mutuals. That's the asset class. Like these are the groupings of assets. Also, let's look at in 1600s there was I don't know if some of you want to have heard about it, but there was in Dutch, in Netherlands, there was something. It's very famous actually. It's called a Tulip Mania, right? So what happened in 1600? Everybody tulips, the flower basically. It became a status symbol. Okay, so and it was relatively a little difficult to grow tulips, but it became a status symbol. So if everybody thought that tulips ki value went up. One tulip bulb, like the seed, if you want to call, the tulip bulb basically was equal to 5 hectares of land, and average annual income of Netherlands got 10x. So if you have a tulip bulb, it is the at the peak of it, the price went to 5 hectares worth of land, hectares, not acres, hectares, and 10x of annual income, average annual income of Netherlands. So if you have one bulb, you don't have to you can and you sell it at that price for 10 years, it's equivalent to you getting that income right up front of your the next 10 years. It was that much, the price went up astronomically because everybody thought that's the only way to get rich, and it's the asset which if I buy, and everybody thought if I'm buying at, let's say, 5 rupees, I can sell it tomorrow at 10 rupees. And the 10 rupees who's buying at 10 rupees, he will think I'll sell it at 20 rupees. The 20 rupees guy will think, they will not think the intrinsic value. They'll think who's the next person I can sell it to at a higher price. So whatever my procuring price is, I will get the higher price next day. Everybody, the whole country thought that is how it is. So if I get a tulip in my hand, tulip bulb today, I can tomorrow sell it at, I get it at 5 rupees, I'll sell it at 7 rupees. 7 rupee, if I buy 7 rupees, I'll sell it at 12 rupees. So everybody thought that it's so much in demand that the next guy will buy it from me at a higher price. So the price went like this, and of course it didn't end well. And the greater fool's theory is there is somebody bigger idiot than me who's going to buy at a higher price tomorrow. And I'm not going to think about the intrinsic value of this, right? Of course, it didn't end well, and the price of tulips crashed. Tulip bulbs crashed because there was no intrinsic value. A tulip bulb, you can grow. You can take another 3 months. You can grow so many that the demand, the supply will outstrip the demand. You plant like everything in your garden. You plant tulip bulbs. That is how much tulip you can produce. If you get to it. So there is no intrinsic value. The intrinsic value is there, but it's not that high, which people thought it is, right? So I think this whole thing ended up in 3-4 years, and of course everybody understood that they have been made a fool out of it, right? So this was something to keep in mind, where you think that if you don't think what the intrinsic value of the asset that you're buying is there, if you don't think and you just think RJ, it was 1,000 rupees, Tomorrow it will become 2,000 rupees. After that 5,000 rupees. Why? Why will it become? What is the reason? Is there something substantially, some value creation is being done, or is just demand supply, right? So if you just believe on greater fuels that tomorrow somebody will buy at a higher price, you're you know you can see from history, as we said, history is one of the best teachers. We can see from this that in 1637 this has been done. It's not that it has not been done. It's nothing, there is nothing that is happening right now, or something similar or something close to it hasn't happened in the future, in the history, sorry, in the history, right? So let's see what is a currency. So we are just touching upon some of these points, right? How the financial system works, what has happened in history. We're just touching upon those points, and then we'll put them all together in our context, right? So any mutual acceptable medium of exchange. Today, me and you decide, a ice cube is the medium of exchange. I give you, and it has value. We can decide that. If you and and everybody in our group here decides that, we will just, instead of money, we will basically use this as a medium of exchange. A pencil or a pen, or in cigarettes in prison. I mean, we have, I mean, people exchange favors, and by that, in prison, by exchanging cigarettes, that becomes the currency in so it has to be an acceptable medium by the community or everybody. That is one of the main points of the currency, right? That if tomorrow, like for example, in demonetization, somebody said that this 500 rupee note or 2,000 rupee note is not, a 1,000 rupee note back then is not acceptable. So everybody you could not give it to anybody, right? You had to go and give deposit in the bank. Today at 8 p.m., that everybody was accepting that 1,000. Suddenly after the announcement, nobody's accepting that 1,000. That mutual acceptability of that medium of exchange was taken away, right? This is very important, because unless everybody accepts it, it cannot become a currency, right? So just keep it at the back of the mind. What is a currency? It has to be mutually acceptable medium of exchange by everybody, right? It is regulated by central banks. It's stored in banks. It's used for taxation, monopoly of the government, right? That has been always been the case, right? I mean, the kings in the previous times, they would basically, it will be their prerogative to issue currencies or coins or whatever, right? They use it for taxation. It's issued by central banks. In the modern economy, it's issued by central banks and stored in banks, right? There are problems with the modern currency, with our currency, right? What we have currently, it requires a trust in the sovereign, the government. It requires not the government in power, but just the government, right? So it does require trust in the sovereign, right? If I think the government is going is completely bonkers or nuts, then I don't trust the currency. And this is similar. It's something, if I don't know, Zimbabwe or Venezuela or Cuba, their currencies it devalues a lot, because nobody trusts what the government is saying and doing, right? It does require trust in the government. That is one of the challenges, theoretically, of the modern currencies. It can lead to hyperinflation, like in Venezuela and Zimbabwe. In Venezuela, Bitcoin has taken, because of nobody trusts the government. Nobody trusts their currency that they have issued. These are photos from Zimbabwe. These are real photos from Zimbabwe. Okay, by the way, this guy probably is going to buy a bag of potato with this much amount of cash, right? So it's not that he just post for a picture, right? I mean, he's going to get a bag of potato, or maybe a kilo or 2 kilos of potato with this. Right? That's the kind of hyperinflation Zimbabwe went to. The currency became worthless, and it's none of this guy's fault, right? I mean, it's the fault of the government that people stopped trusting. Individually, this guy did nothing wrong, right? So he lost he lost a lot of value of his currency, let's say he was holding this much around a cash, just for example, government, nobody trusts the government, the amount, this thing which could have bought him a private jet is going to buy him a 1 kilo of potato. So this guy says, okay, I don't trust this money. I'm going to start using some other medium of exchange, which doesn't devalue every day, right? So this is one of the problems that, as an individual, why do I care? It's not my fault that inflation is high, kind of a thing, right? So, and failure of the banking system. What happened in PMC Bank, right? I mean, I think most of us know what happened there. The bank, somebody they siphoned off the money, and a bunch of industrialists from Bombay basically siphoned off a lot of money and couldn't pay the bank. And so people distrusting why, if the government or the system has created banks, and they are not able to custodian my money, and I'm not able to access my money, because these guys were PMC guys were not able to withdraw. I think 30,000 or something they could withdraw over a week or something. I don't remember, but I mean, it's their money. They should be able to access. If bank has given it to some industry, is not given it, it should not be the person's problem, because he's deposited, right? He has interested his money. Why should he queue up like this to take his money back? So these are the problems of modern currency, right? Which is there, which is in some sort crypto is trying to address, whereas it's creating problems on the other side. We'll discuss it in the following thing. So cryptocurrency, how, what, and why, right? I mean, these are the problems. We have seen what is the history of of Bitcoin, history of Tulip Mania, history of why and what an asset class financial system briefly. I mean, we have not gone in depth, but we have briefly seen what is an asset class, what is a currency. So now let's see and we have seen the problem with the currency. We are not saying that it's perfect, right? We are saying there are problems, but is this the solution? Is this not the solution? What happens, right? So let's say now let's come to the main thing, right? Where what is cryptocurrency? It's basically cryptography. Cryptography is something, and so if it's an art of creating lock and key. Okay, so if I have to send a cryptic message, so cryptography comes with the word cryptic and cryptography get from the same thing. I mean, the root verb is the same. So cryptic means that, if I have to tell you a particular person out of the whole set of people who are there, if I want to say that let me call you at 11 tomorrow, okay? And I don't want any of you to know, all of you to know. And then I will have a different system, lock and key. I will lock my message and I'll send it in the group. Only the person who knows how to open it will get the exact message, right? So it can be I choose, if in my sentence, if I choose basic cryptography, for example, the most simple example, right? Let's say in my statement I say, this is a van, right? So let's say the word T means something, and word I means something, and V means something, and in that sequence, if they come, that actually translate to meet me at 11, for example, right? So only you will think this is a van. I'm saying something random, or I'm showing a picture of van and saying this is a van. But the person who has the key will actually know that Prashant is saying meet me at 11 tomorrow, right? Or call me at 11 tomorrow, right? So that's what it has been there, right? I mean, we've seen so many movies or stuff where people are sending messages, when you're sending, one kingdom is sending a message to another in a war zone. If the army is sending message back to the king, for example, right? They will write not exactly what is the problem. They will write something else, and the king or the courtesans will basically kind of decipher what actually it means. Because if in between that message falls into somebody else's hand, that means that they can have a problem, right? So it's an art of basically putting a lock and a key. So the person who has the key can get the exact message, and the rest of them can just try and not get the exact message or get the wrong message, right? So you basically are saying that I will use this and I'll use this and use a, a, a backbone called blockchain, where I will send these messages I will send these messages in a sequence, in blocks of information. Let's say I have 10 blocks, right? In the first block, in the example we discussed, right? In the first block, I say this. In the second block, I say is. And the third I say oh, and the fourth block I said ban, right? So these blocks are there, and then each block is so, and each block will know which is the next one in between. So if it falls in an enemy's hand or somebody's hand, and he takes out and he's able to crack, or he takes out the message and he says, let me take out the block 2, the block 1 and block 3 will be able to tell that block 2 had the word is, right? So basically, once you create a blockchain, it's very difficult to tamper, because each block knows what its previous and the next block have as information, right? So this is a very important technology, and this is a backbone of cryptocurrency. This can be used, for example, if you're doing for example, insurance, right? So it can be used, or if a bank is doing a transaction, for example, you're making a payment right now. What happens? You make a payment, it goes to a payment gateway. The payment gateway takes to the bank. The bank basically asks you for authentication. The authentication is passed by. After authentication, the bank passes you back to the payment gateway. The payment gateway passes back to the merchant. That's what happens, right? When you buy something on Flipkart or Amazon, or even when you make a payment on Wealthy, from Wealthy it goes to payment gateway. From payment gateway it goes to the bank. Bank basically authenticates. Then it comes back to payment gateway. Then it comes to Wealthy, right? Like that, right? So all this can be done via blockchain. It can be one seamless transaction, right? The technology itself has a very it can be used in a variety of ways, but that's what cryptocurrency uses. So it's decentralized, it's tamper-proof, it's transparent, it's private, right? So these are the main, what is blockchain and what is cryptocurrency. It uses this technology and uses it to use it for a currency. So it's a trustless system. I don't have to trust the bank. I don't have to trust the government. I don't have to trust anybody. So it is decentralized. I just have to trust the code which is doing it. It digital yet private, doesn't require a third party. So it doesn't require a bank, for example. It doesn't require a bank. Okay. It has fixed. So these are the positives of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Fixed supply protects from inflation. Good alternative currencies with high inflation, right? Whereas now, sorry, do I go back? I just skipped a couple of slides. So, but is it true that fixed supply protects from inflation? If the supply is limited and demand for these coins or whatever Bitcoins go up, it will create a price inflation. I think at this point it should be in the negative side of the cryptocurrency. It's not addressing the inflation piece, but nonetheless, it doesn't require third party. It's good alternates to currency with high inflation, and it's a trustless system. I don't have to trust anybody. Okay, so let's come back to the point. India mein what is the future of cryptocurrency in India? What is India mein kya scene hai? So 2017, income tax conducts a raid on 9 Bitcoin exchanges across India. This is December 2018, and Arun Jaitley was still the finance minister. Then the finance ministry issues a warning: don't get trapped in the Ponzi schemes on Bitcoin. This December 2017 again. Then comes RBI, bans regulated entity from dealing in virtual currency. This is the time when, you know, all the guys who basically traded on these WazirX, not WazirX, I think at that time, ZPay, etc. Basically, they were not able to add money or take out money for, and this was RBI's ban. Then these guys went and complained to and took the case in Supreme Court. And government also suggested in 2019 to ban it while the case was going on in Supreme Court. In March 2020, Supreme Court said, "Ki boss RBI, you don't understand anything. Basically, you should not ban this." In its own wisdom, Supreme Court said that you have nothing again. You can't just ban it. You have to let it continue. That was March 2020. June 2021, and from then, I think after 2-3 months, people, these exchanges started propping up, asking everybody to trade on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. After the Supreme Court ban was Supreme Court took out the ban from RBI, but the government was not done. The government is not done. June 2021. So the government lost the case. RBI lost the case in Supreme Court, March 2021. I mean, this is very important. Okay, they tried to squash it from 2017 end. March 2021 tak they basically lost in Supreme Court, but they're not losing the fight. ED, Enforcement Directorate, issues notice to WazirX over violation of FEMA rules. This is quite serious. This is not a joke. This is not like let me try it. I mean, this, you go to jail for this. Okay, so if this is proved, it's or they go after them, they can ruin them. Okay, so Enforcement Directorate is not a joke, right? So the government is not done. So they went after these guys, saying, you know, there were some narcotics related trades being done on your exchange on Bitcoin, and you guys have kind of helped them do that. Right, so these guys issued notice, and they are kind of answering to them. So what's happening essentially? Why is the government? Why do the government care? Yeah, why does the government care? Why does the RBI care? Why are they going after these guys? Why? It threatens the government's monopoly, right? Government's monopoly is, you know, what does the government basically wants to? Is the only person who can give money. Is the only to the rural people or the poor people, right? It has monopoly over the currency. It can decide, what to tax you on, right? Everything is in Bitcoin, etc. How will government be able to see how much you own? Let's say tomorrow, everybody of us converts to Bitcoin. How is government going to collect taxes? How does it know how much it's our employer? Everybody, we start paying in to everybody in Bitcoin. How will they know? It's not even in the banking system. It's outside the banking system. I can't even see what XYZ has got as a salary. I can't see anything. It creates issues on my taxation collection. It creates issue on asset prices and economic activity as it moves out of central bank control. If some of you know, every asset price except commodities has an impact on asset price, meaning your home loan, your personal loan, your so home loan is going to have a lower rate, so you're going to buy, people are going to buy more homes, for example, right? That is going to increase the home price, for example, right? And as the rate of interest comes down, the asset prices go up. Price of the asset go up. Rate of after COVID, March 2020, prices rates were brought down in the US and in India, right? That created the stock market rally, because all the asset prices started going up, right? Rates come down, asset price go up, right? So and who controls the rate? Central bank. So if I want to say that I have to bring down the rate to support economic activity, because loans will get cheaper, SMEs will get cheaper, loans, they will be able to take cheaper loans and expand business, right? People will get cheaper home loans. They will go and buy houses, and the prices of assets will start to increase, right? So the rate of interest is a very important parameter in which is decided by the central bank. And in cryptocurrencies, intrinsic value, I mean, there's no concept of rate, right? It's demand and supply. It's demand and supply, right? How many are there? Who wants to buy? What price? Greater fool's theory. I will buy at 1,000 rupees. I'll sell it at 1,200 rupees tomorrow, day after, or the week after. There's no concept of rate, right? There's not increasing the price, decreasing the price. If central bank tomorrow brings the rate to zero, cryptocurrency will be on its own. It will depend on demand and supply. It will not depend on the rate of interest. What are the other problems? So China government, it threatens government's monopoly. China is the first country to realize that, and they don't want any control to go from the government and any other government as well. So China bans financial payment institution from cryptocurrency business. So crypto is rising so fast, so are the stakes for the government everywhere, right? This is not us. This is like editorial boards of different magazines and newspaper. Cryptocurrency miners flee China's clampdown intensifies. China has basically gone after them. Digital currencies pose threat to economy, warns and Bank of India. There's a crypto trading platform called Binance. It has been banned in the UK in the last 3 or 4 weeks. What are the other risks? It's intrinsically worthless. What is the worth? I write a piece of code. We are all decide. All 100 of us decide, or 200 of us decide that it's this piece of code is worth 10,000 rupees. Let us decide. Doesn't matter. The whole world doesn't think that it is like that, right? So there's no intrinsic. Real estate. There's a land price. There is intrinsic value. Its purpose is rent, right? Gold, there is a purpose, is gold jewelry. Equity, dividends you get ownership of an asset. In Bitcoin, what is the intrinsic value that you get? Transactions are slow. It requires 10 minutes to transfer Bitcoins, or transfer from peer to peer as well. 2.5 minutes, 5 minutes. How much your UPI takes? 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 15 seconds. There's a time per transaction. What will, like, these are the other problems. Slow transaction, intrinsically worthless. They just demand and supply. Something very, what was intrinsically worthless in our presentation before? The tulip bulbs, right? They were intrinsically worthless. I can create as many tulip bulbs as you want. Give me 6 months, I will send all of you five tulip bulbs, right? And here also, give me 6 months, I'll create another cryptocurrency, as 4,000 are already created. What is the intrinsic value? Because of these things, high volatility, especially for currencies. There are few people who got the cryptocurrencies in the beginning, who were the first champions of it. Greater fool's theory mein, the guys who got in early, who bought it at a very cheap price, right? They hold the most of that, and they tweet and do stuff. It is 5x more volatile than gold. It is 10x more volatile than US dollar. 27% single day drawdown, single day drop 27%. That is the kind of volatility we are talking about currently. Risk to principal, that's not the only thing कि मेरा return कम हो जाएगा, return नहीं आएगा, right? Your principal is going to go away. There have been cases, this MT Gox was a celebrated exchange of cryptocurrencies. It filed for bankruptcy because somebody stole their Bitcoins. Somebody hacked into the system and they stole their Bitcoins. It filed for bankruptcy. People who they were managing as or customers or clients, all of them lost their money. Nobody knows where the coins went. Right? Somebody lost password. they're out of them, they lost password and then they're gone. They're not able to recover. This is 280 million worth of Bitcoin in trash he throws accidentally. Binance froze when Bitcoin crashed. Now users, so this is very fresh. This is 15 days old. Binance, which UK banned, when the Bitcoin's value was crashing, they didn't let people sell because it would have further dipped the crash. So they just said technical fault. They didn't let people sell. Now the users want their money back, and Binance is saying we can't do anything. Sorry. It does have an effect on the climate, right? I mean, these are the mining centers. Here is where you basically mine new coins. This generates massive. This uses massive amount of electricity. China is basically saying you don't do this in my country. And massive amount of electricity. It's not small. It's very power intensive, so it's not good for the environment, climate wise, etc. Because finding the initial coins was easy. It was a very similar. It was a very simple algorithm to solve, or a problem to solve. The way it is written, the more and more further you go to find more or mine more bitcoins, basically it requires more and more electricity. So that is one massive problem with this. China, 72% of coins were mined in China. Sorry, yeah, 72% of coins were, computing power of mining was in China. Assume that was what was, how many coins were mined in China was 72%. They have banned it. So what's the summary? Summary is basically cryptocurrency, government, central banks. Cryptocurrency versus government and central banks are basically competing systems. It's very difficult for a government to allow a cryptocurrency to take over. If they don't have, I mean, in India, the 3 or 4% people pay taxes currently when the government can look at their bank accounts or financial transactions. I mean, do we think that the government is going to allow this? Why are they going after these guys? I mean, they had to, why are they going after these guys? They're going after these guys because they will not be able to even collect 3 to 4% of people's taxes. If this is the way things go, if they allow this to happen, I mean, government is the final thing. Doesn't matter, right? I mean, central banks are going to not lose their power. They're not going to let a new currency system come which doesn't have an impact of rates. Central bank says my rate, I'm increasing the rates. Bitcoin doesn't do anything. Bitcoin can do its own thing. It has no impact. But central bank says, let's say all of us start doing this rates, storing currency in Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency. Let's imagine, and then central banks keeps changing the rate. I'm bringing down the loan rates. Okay, fine, doesn't matter because I'm going to pay everything in Bitcoin and it has no impact on rates. They're competing systems, so it's going to be very tough. The government was going to bring a cryptocurrency bill in this session. They have delayed it. You can read in the newspapers. So the underlying technology that cryptocurrency uses, which is blockchain, is quite useful. It has, I mean, people have done elections are using blockchain, right? So the underlying technology is useful. The use case or why you should use it is not, it's competing against this government and central bank. A government cannot run without collecting taxes. A central bank cannot lose its power to decide the asset prices or decide rates in the country. Or why do they decide rates? Because the asset prices move with this. economic activities start or stop with this, or accelerate or decelerate because of this, right? So for the because it works on demand and supply, it's best a currency it's a best a commodity, a digital commodity. It's not a currency, which is not going to. And these guys are. I mean, even if government central banks allow, they will make their own. Each country will they make their own digital currency, for example. And why do they need that? They anyways have digital transaction. They can monitor everything. Why do they need a cryptocurrency of their own? This, I mean, if you think in those direction, I don't think there is. This is going to have in countries like Venezuela, maybe yes, because the government anyways doesn't have any. People don't trust it. Then fine, then you can decide whatever you want to do, right? And but here you will have issues. China has started taking action. UK has already taken actions. We'll see where it goes, but definitely the whatever we summarized till now, right? I mean, asset prices being competing systems not being having its own issues of 27% down in one day. I mean, imagine your bank account may there is let's say 1 lakh rupees. Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow it becomes 73,000 rupees just in a day. What will your reaction be, right? So will you trust that system? Will a lot of people trust that system? And until a lot of people, if a lot of people don't trust that system, how will it become currency? Because everybody has to trust it to make it currency, or the sovereign has to say this is what it is, right? Whatever happened in a sovereign, the government has to say whatever happened in your demonetization. Government said this 1,000 rupees not valid anymore. So either they have to come or everybody has to start trusting it. But if it keeps going down 27%, 10%, 5% like this every day, how will we trust it? Nobody will trust it. So there is a lot of these questions which people don't answer. They just want to come and ask you to start trading on their platform. So that's what I have to say. That for us, I mean, these are the risks. So keep these risks in your mind. And if after that, even if you feel or your clients feel you want to do it, at least that what are the inherent risks, right? For us, it doesn't make sense as an asset class. Okay, so that's what we had, and we can basically start with some questions and post that. We can stop the session. If any questions, you can. Tigmanshu, how do you want to do it?
So if you can check the chat box, there are a few questions that you can go through already there.
Okay.
At the bottom of the screen, there'll be the chat option. You can check all the questions that are there.
So I think the first question is, are we going to start suggesting our clients to invest in cryptocurrency? I think the whole presentation has kind of summarized it. So no. Wealthy coin, no. Does market cap of company or shares have intrinsic value? Karthik BS. All right. So yes, shares have intrinsic value. Yes, because if you how do you value a company? There's several ways you can, right? So one is that what is the future cash flows and the exit value of the company, right? So if the future value, let's say I'm assuming that next year this company is going to make a earnings of, let's say, or give a or do a PAT of, let's say, 100 rupees. Okay. The year after 120 rupees, year after 140 rupees, a year after 160 rupees. I discount, and at the end of it, that if I want to sell this company, this is what is going to be the terminal value. Right? That's how you kind of come to the intrinsic value of the company. After that, you can basically compare it to other peers, etc. That is another way of valuing or doing a comparison value. Yes. So there is an intrinsic value. The company is a cash generating asset, right? I mean, Asian Paints generates X amount of X crores every year as PAT, right? So if you think that they're going to do that for like 30, 40, 50 years, that's how you attribute and you count those cash flows. That's how you get the intrinsic value, right? Um, sort of coding, decoding using a group of codes. Okay. That's what I think somebody was saying. Somebody was saying what is crypto. So somebody is saying the value crypto have is service. I think Sanish, Sanish is saying the value cryptos have is service. They gets exchanged for service like barter system. To be an asset class, I have to generate cash flow. Yeah, exactly. So I have to generate cash flow. I do think many crypto projects can produce cash flows like that. So the question is, why can't you use the technology these crypto projects are building and get paid in fiat currency? Sanish, so you basically are saying, for doing these projects, I need to be paid in the same currency. No, you can still use the same technology, same platform, and get paid. Like, let's say TCS wants to, implement a project for example, a TCS wants to implement a project for, let's say, a bank, let's say an HDFC bank, for example, right? And let's say it wants to implement a blockchain kind of a project using whatever Ethereum smart contract technology, for example, right? They can use that, and for implementing that, they can collect a fee from HDFC Bank every month, every quarter, every year. Then nothing stops that. There's no necessity for it to be using cryptocurrency to be able to do that, right? So that I mean that's the way I think about it. Manas says blockchain as a technology is a good option to manage business and monitoring business. The complete supply chain can be tracked. I completely agree. Completely agree with Manas. But there is no necessity for it to have a currency on top, right? So that use case might die because these two guys, the central bank and the government, are not going to let it be with that simple. Um, That's why China, okay, fine. Sanish cannot be. Yeah, so yeah, Sanish, yeah, so cryptocurrency can't be a currency, they act as a commodity more. Yeah, fine. So exactly that what we discussed. Got it. I think everybody has their own opinion, which everybody is entitled to. I think there's no question. I think mostly it's people kind of giving their own opinion on some of the. I think a substantial number of it is agreeing to what we discussed. Some of it is, I think some of it is not very understandable to me. But why? I mean, the fact that Supreme Court um, banned it with RBI, and then the government will go after it, etc. I mean, that's quite obvious, right? I mean, why would the government let a sovereign? I mean, think of the government like a king, right? A king is not going to let people run their own currency, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so that's the summary of it, I think. And thanks everybody. I don't know if all of you thought that we are going to become, start providing cryptocurrency. We just wanted to educate all of you because some of you have been asking, and some of your clients have been asking you. That's why probably you are asking us. But so that's something that we will say if you have like I don't have even, like, let me just say, I have a large portfolio, but I don't have even 1 rupee invested in cryptocurrency, right? So that's how I would like to summarize. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you.
Yes. Everybody can leave the meeting now. Sir, you can close the meeting, end the
Okay.
meeting for everybody. Thank you, everybody.